When you're trying to sell your home, you don't just want viewings. You obviously want those offers. So there are things that can really put buyers off on your property. Now I'm going to talk about 10 things that could be silent killers to getting that right deal for your property. So make sure you watch this video if you're thinking of selling in the future, and I'll tell you what you need to do to make sure that it's market ready and you can get the best offers that you can for your home. One of the first things you can look at is decluttering your property. Now, I've been an estate agent for over 20 years now, and I've seen a lot of properties in my time. And when I conduct viewings and when I show viewers around, they want to get a sense of space and what they can fit in that property. So what I mean by decluttering is removing as much items as you can away from the shelves, away from the sides. Bookshelves, for example, you need them to be at least 50% full. No more. 50% full is optimal. Otherwise, it can start looking cluttered. And buyers want to see that their property has space. So you want to be showing off as much of this as you can as possible. So decluttering is one of the main tips that I would advise you to do. The next tip I would say is taking down personal photos, or as many as you can. Now, the reason I say this, yes, it is your home and you're still living there while you're trying to get it sold, but you're trying to sell it to someone and trying to get them to visualize themselves living there. So if they see a lot of your own personal photos, they're just going to feel like they're in someone else's home. So depersonalizing those personal photos as much as possible, they can really feel like they're part of that property. And you know, it's also amazing how many times you get viewers when they're looking around property, when they start looking at people's personal photos and start trying to work out who's living there, rather than putting their full attention into the property itself. As many of these distractions we can get out of the way, the better. Next is those unfixed damages that people are going to spot. And I'm talking about the paintwork of your property. You know, if there's any scuffs on the walls that need fixing, or any slight holes that need covering up, get onto these. It's not going to cost a lot to get these sorted. Presenting your home in its best possible light is really going to pay off dividends when you start getting those offers from those potential buyers. So one thing you can do with regards to fixing damages is do an own snagging list on your own property. Have a walk into each room and see what needs to be done, and start right from that front door. Walk in, make a note of each room, and make a list of those damages that you do need to change. Next I would look at would be dirty carpets and floors, especially the thoroughfare you get through your main front door. Make sure those hard floors are clean and tidy, and if you can get those carpets cleaned before you put the property on the market, it will be well worth doing that for the cost it will take to do. Buyers do notice these kind of things. They do look at the floors. They do look at what they potentially have to change when they move into that property. And if it's the path of least resistance that you can create by making changes to your property, such as changing the carpets or at least cleaning them, you're one step ahead. And if you don't want to go as far as cleaning your carpets, but you've got a big rug you can put down that's going to cover majority of the carpet that you've got there, just to create a different feel in that room, that is something I would definitely recommend too. The next one can be quite controversial, but it is pet smells. Now, I know we live in a nation of dog lovers and cat lovers, and it can be quite controversial because we don't want to be upsetting anyone who does have animals, but you can really become nose blind if you have got pets. Now, when it comes to trying to get your home smelling a lot fresher, I would be looking at moving out any dog beds or cat beds that you have in the home when you're doing viewings, and maybe moving these outside into a garage or into a garden shed while you're actually doing these viewings. And this will go as far as saying take your dog for a walk or kick the cat out if you can while you're doing these viewings. Not everyone has pets, and you don't want that to be off-putting for them not to put an offer forward. And they could be the right buyer, just have come into your home at the wrong time. So make sure to neutralize those pet smells. We could go the opposite end with regards to powerful smells too. So I have been in rooms where the plugins have been set to high and it's just so overpowering. And buyers are going to ask, is that trying to cover a certain smell? So smells are a biggie. And they always say, oh, you should have it smelling like fresh bread or fresh coffee. You really don't need to do this. Just as long as everywhere smells neutral. Next is fix those broken fixtures, such as taps, light fittings, little things that the buyer could potentially look at to try and reduce the price of their offer that they're going to put forward. Yes, a tap's not going to cost thousands of pounds to replace, but a buyer will use this against you when they're trying to negotiate on the price. And it's not just internal fittings. Think about the outside lights. What do they look like? Are they all working? And changing light bulbs in each room, making sure that every single light bulb works if anyone is going to try that switch while they're there. The amount of times I've showed buyers around homes and they will check the water pressure. So they open up every single tap or check that the toilet flushes and turn on the lights and see if the lights work. So do make sure you make these changes to these fixtures. It's not going to cost you a lot to make sure that things are working, and it could make the difference of what you're getting for your final price. So moving on, we've got rooms with excess furniture. Don't have too much furniture if you can help it. Get some of it cleared out. Buyers are going to want to see the floor space and whether they can fit their own furniture in there. If you've got a bedroom with a big double bed, 2 bed-sized cabinets, a desk in there, and it is just too overpowering, then you need to be moving some of that stuff out. People do want to see what space the home has got. People don't want to see whether you've outgrown it, because if you've outgrown it, how quickly is it going to be until the buyer outgrows it, and is that going to get them thinking that the property will be too small for them in the first place? Think about packing things up, and if you're planning on moving anyway, start putting flat packs down if you can. Or moving them out into a garage, something like that. If you're not using the garage for the storage of your cars, if you have room in there, move some of your furniture in there. Buyers will look into a garage, but they're not going to be taking too much notice of that garage rather than the internal rooms. The next one might seem quite obvious, and that is make your bed. You see it quite a lot, especially on Rightmove, is where estate agents or the owners have taken photos and they have an unmade bed, which is bizarre because you want to be showing off the room and not drawing attention to the bed itself. Now, on viewings, I'd be surprised if you wouldn't make your bed before you have the viewings, but you've got to think about those teenage rooms as well. Don't kick your teenager out 2 minutes before the viewing is going to turn up. Make sure it's ready at least 15 minutes before, and go round each bedroom to make sure they're looking tidy and that the beds are all made. So the next thing that you need to be removing from your property is bins. Small bins, big bins. Not only does the kitchen bin emit smells, and you can really smell a kitchen bin, especially when it's been a hot day. This time of year, we're getting into the summer, the bins can smell quite quickly. So make sure you've emptied those bins well in advance before the viewing takes place. I have been in kitchens where there is an odd smell in there, and yes, you will know it is the bin, but you don't want to leave a lasting impression for that buyer thinking, oh God, that kitchen smelled, didn't it? So make sure you do remove the bins, and also bedroom bins, bathroom bins, especially if they're open. No one wants to see what's in there and the unsightly sights that they're going to see on what you've thrown away. It's not good, is it? No one wants to see toenail clippings in your bedroom bin or anything like that. So make sure the bins are empty. And also when it comes to bins, your outside bins too, make sure they're hidden away. Make sure they're down the side alley or wherever you put the bins, and they're not overflowing with stuff, because first impressions are always going to count when it comes down to this. And the last one is number 10, is first impressions count. That curb appeal and your garden, they need to be tended to and looked after. Now, on your front, you want to be removing as many weeds as you can from the front, off that driveway. If you haven't got a driveway and got a small garden, make sure that lawn is cut and the beds have been treated. And that goes the same with outside. With regards to back gardens, you need to be tidying it up a little bit in terms of putting things away. But if it's a good day and you've got outside garden furniture, make sure your cushions are out and make sure your umbrellas are up. It really will show off the property in the best possible light. So I'm not saying clear the garden completely, but it is going to help with it staged in a way that they feel that they can sit in there after a hard day's graft at work, and that they can sit in the garden and have a drink, or breakfast time, have that morning coffee out in the garden. I know we don't get to do it much in this country, but again, it's trying to sell the dream to that buyer. So I hope this video was helpful for anyone who's looking to move in the near future. Removing these items that I've listed is going to make a huge difference in what people think about your property when they come round and have a look. So I would crack on with these things before you even do the photos for your property when you choose your estate agent, and give you time for the viewing. So never do a viewing unannounced if you can't get that property or your home ready for those viewings. Always do them a couple of days later, or at least or the earliest 24 hours. The way I look at it is you want viewers to leave thinking about the property and how they can live there, not thinking about the things that they've got to change, they've got to fix, or what they smelt in that property. You don't want them to remember your home by those things. So cutting all these out will give you a better chance of getting that higher price. And what we're trying to do is create competition. You'll see through all my videos that I talk a lot about creating competition, getting more than one buyer through your home, because the more buyers you have, the better price that you're going to get. So if that means you can do these few things to get your home ready, it really would be worth it. Now, if you've got any other questions about the property market, I would love to know about them. If you want to know what you need to do to get your house ready, whether it's down to pricing of your property or choosing your estate agent, I'm hoping I can educate a lot of you through these videos that I'm going to do over time. But please drop a comment below. Give this video a like, and if you like what you see and like the content that's being pushed out, make sure to subscribe too. Now, thank you for coming along, and I will see you in the next video.